All right, so in skateboarding, there's a lot of tricks that are kind of up for debate on what they're called. So for example, there are a lot of people that would call this trick a fakie backside tail slide, and that would actually be correct. I mean, I guess in my opinion anyway. However, my thought on it is it's a fakie backside tail slide because in regular stance, that is a backside tail slide. And fakie is your regular stance backwards, so right here, you're entering a back tail. Another thing that people would call this trick is a fakie frontside tail slide because the ledge is on your front side, or they would call it a fakie switch frontside nose slide, or just a fakie frontside nose slide. Another example would be frontside overcrooks. A lot of people call it frontside nose grind, even though you're going overcrook, and they're pretty much saying that frontside overcrook doesn't exist and only backside overcrook exists, which I disagree with. However, these tricks aren't the main trick of this video. There's just one trick that's just been messing with my mind this morning, and I want to know what you guys think. So we can all agree that this right here is not a trick. So we can all agree that this is a backside blunt slide, right? And then this would be a backside nose blunt, right? Like we can agree on that. So you pop and your back wheels go over the ledge first before your front wheels come down and your nose and touch onto the ledge like this. Backside nose blunt, yes? And we can also agree that this would be a backside nose slide and this would be a backside tail slide. So you pop, you stay on the same side as you popped on, you put your nose onto the ledge and slide down. And fast forward a little bit and you do the same thing, but with your tail. You turn your tail onto the ledge, you stay on the same side, and you just slide on your tail. The important thing is you stayed on the same side. So let me ask you this question. What would you call this trick right here? Would you call it a frontside nose slide or a backside nose blunt? So I'm on the same side as I popped. Everything is staying on the exact same side. However, that would be a backside nose blunt position. But since my wheels didn't go over anything first, and I just stayed on this side, and I did that, would that be a nose slide, or would you call it a backside nose blunt? Or I mean, would you call it a frontside nose blunt? Like, you're going front side into it. Because look, if I was to do frontside nose slide here, it's a frontside nose slide. But if I was to do the exact same thing just on this edge, it's pretty much the same trick, but it's a different trick. Same with this one. Would you call it a backside blunt or a frontside tail slide? Because again, I'm staying on the exact same side as I popped. Nothing's going over, but I'm sliding like a blunt. Like, we know that there's blunt power slides, but that would actually just be an actual grind since it's on the edge of a ledge. Because the funny thing is, if I put a rail right here and do the exact same thing, that would just be called a nose slide. Or again with tail slides, if I did a tail slide like that the exact same way, that's still a tail slide. But if I do the motion over here and get into more of a blunt, is that a blunt or is that a tail slide? Because if you do a nose slide on a rail, like just a rounded rail, and you're a little bit more vertical, imagine this, but I was up in like a nose blunt style, you would still call that a nose slide. So imagine if I was just doing a nose slide sort of like this, like a little bit more vertical. You wouldn't call that a nose blunt. But if you do the same thing on a ledge on this side like this and just you know, go like that, what is it? One interesting thing is if you come from this side right here and get into a nose blunt, I think a lot of people still consider that a nose blunt, even though you're staying on the same side as you popped and you didn't like bring your back foot over. Because you want to consider that a nose blunt. Like, you don't want to say like, oh yeah, I did a nose slide on this ledge. Like, you want to be able to tell people, yo, I did a nose blunt on this giant drop ledge. Obviously, to get a nose blunt, a proper one on this ledge specifically, you would have to like go right from the edge like that and then get into the nose blunt. But even still, you're kind of going straight on at it and you're getting into a nose blunt. Like, you want to call that a nose blunt no matter what. Where technically something like this would be considered a nose slide, right? I can't think of any like actual hubbas around this place. I might have to go back to Philly. So there's a certain trick that Chris Cole does, and I think we've sort of accepted it as a blunt slide, even though it would technically be a tail slide. It's like pop over to blunt.
Attempt number 2.
Ollie over to blunt slide.
So if I was to do this, exactly what Chris Cole does, less dip, but like pop over as if I was going to do a tail slide, but then land in blunt on the other side, is that still a blunt or is that technically the tail slide? Now we can argue that it could be like a blunt power slide, but would this turn into a backside blunt since it's on the other ledge, or would it stay a frontside tail slide? Or would it be a weird thing like a front side blunt? Because front blunt, you go backwards, but here you're going forwards, but you entered it on front side. This is what happens in skater brains sometimes. Why? Or this one right here. Like if I was to do that, would you call this a front side nose blunt, or would you call it a nose slide? I mean, I know right here isn't really the best example because I'm sliding in the middle, and I guess that would be a blunt power slide. A nose blunt power slide. But like if I was locked in to the other side like that, there we go. Like, is this a front side nose blunt or is it a backside nose slide? You would want to call it a nose blunt because you don't want to say like, oh, I did a backside nose slide, because everyone's gonna think, oh, you just did the basic one normally. Or do you want to say you did a pop over to nose blunt or pop over to nose slide? Like, I just want to know what you guys think, because there's a part of me that wants to call that a nose slide. There's a part of me that wants to call that a nose slide, but then a big part of me wants to call it a nose blunt because you're in the nose blunt, you're sliding in a nose blunt. But again, if I have any kind of coping on the other side, this is a weird example, but like, that would be considered a nose slide, right? But then would this be nose slide to nose blunt? I guess so. I don't know. All I know is when Chris Cole does them in Street League, they call it a pop over to blunt, or like pop over to nose blunt. But the rules of a blunt are like your front wheels go over first. So like my front wheels went over the ledge first, and then my tail and my back wheels went onto the ledge. That's the rule of a blunt. I'm gonna switch maps again, but there's another little example that I want to give. Whoa, that was smooth. Got that I'm on pressure now. I'm not on manual rotation anymore. I should have just taken the bus. So on a mini ramp, would this be a nose blunt or a nose slide? Like, you're pretty much popping into a nose blunt. Like if this was a stall right here, that's a nose blunt, or switch blunt, whatever one. And if you were popping back in like this, that would be a nose blunt or switch blunt. But I'm staying on the exact same side as I popped. Nothing is going over first, but technically that would be a nose blunt. I mean, extremely fast done, but still that would follow the rules of what a nose blunt would be. Or would this just be a nose stall? And then would this be the blunt slide or blunt stall? Or is this the blunt? Oh, wait, there. Is that the blunt? I don't know. Because like, you don't want to be like calling that a backside nose slide and then to frontside nose blunt. Backside nose slide, frontside nose blunt. Like, would something like this be a nose slide to nose blunt, or a nose blunt to nose blunt? Like, would something like this be a backside nose slide to frontside nose blunt? You would want to call that nose slide to nose blunt, because I think if you were like in the middle of the ledge doing that, like right in the center, and not like on the edge of the ledge, that would just be a power slide nose blunt, and you would just call that a nose blunt. But like that? Would that just be power slide nose blunt to nose blunt? Or let's do it like this. Blunt to blunt. Or is that just like backtail the blunt? What are those shadows? Where are those shadows coming from? They're coming from there somewhere. They're coming from this direction. That's off topic. Like that's for sure a blunt slide. That's no doubt blunt. Anyways, I want to know your thoughts on this. Is this a nose blunt or a frontside nose slide? Would this be a backside blunt slide, or are those nose slides and tail slides? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. So let me know. Give examples of why you think which one is which. It's just something that's been bugging me this morning. I don't know why. I got asked this question this morning, and I'm like, it's technically a nose slide, but it's a nose blunt. Okay, well, that's gonna do it for this video. If you want to keep up with any more session shenanigans, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. So until next time, this is JL Nightmare, and I still don't know if that's a nose blunt or a nose slide, but this is a front blunt. Boom. I know that one.